Equality has been fought for hundreds of years. Whether it be equality among men and women, races, religions, it is very important and should be recognized and accomplished. Suffrage, also known as the right to vote, is essential no matter the gender of the citizen. Women's suffrage, however, in America was fought for over a century. Through hard work, setbacks, small accomplishments one at a time, women all across America fought for what they believed in and changed America for the better. The first women's rights convention, the Seneca Falls Convention, was held in Seneca Falls, New York in 1848. It was held in a chapel and spanned over the course of 2 whole days. It advertised itself as a convention to discuss social, civil, and religious conditions and rights of women. The Seneca Falls Convention fueled numerous other women's conventions. Some of these conventions included the Rochester Women's Rights Convention in Rochester, New York, just 2 weeks later. Then, in 1850, the National Women's Rights Conventions met in Massachusetts. These National Women's Rights Conventions were annual, and in 1850, that was the first of the series of the conventions. The first national suffrage organizations were established in 1869. These ones were national, so they were much bigger than these little conventions. When 2 competing organizations were formed, that is when the first National Suffrage Association came about. After years of rivalry, these 2 organizations merged in 1890, and they called themselves the National American Women's Suffrage Association. I don't quite understand why they were rivals, because they had the same end goal, and they were in it together, and they were fighting for the same thing, so I would think that they would have merged quite sooner rather than had a rivalry, but they did merge eventually. Women fought for this right through lectures, letters, marching, and civil disobedience. An example of civil disobedience was when Susan B. Anthony successfully succeeded in voting in 1872. Now, many women did attempt to vote, but their attempts did not work. Susan B. Anthony, however, succeeded. Although she was arrested and she was found guilty, it was still a step for them. But this event, like I just stated, did no harm for the fight for women's suffrage. It just fueled the movement even more. So, like I said, it was a step for them. It gave them hope, because although she was found guilty and arrested, she still succeeded in voting. So it was a big step for them. By 1916, almost all of the suffrage organizations were united. This was mainly because they were all fighting for a constitutional amendment. So they had the same end goal, so they all merged. In 1918, President Wilson changed his position to support an amendment that would change the lives of women and change America forever as well. President Wilson was in support of women's suffrage. So, of course, this was a major step, and it moved the process along quite quickly. The amendment was passed by the House of Representatives on May 21st, 1919. 2 weeks later, the Senate followed. Then, finally, on August 18th, 1920, a famous day in history, Tennessee became the 36th state to ratify the amendment. The amendment succeeded its goal by obtaining the agreement of 3/4 of the states. It was the 36th state to ratify the amendment. The ratification was then certified on August 26, 1920, changing the life of America forever. I greatly respect the efforts and accomplishments of each and every woman who fought for what they rightfully deserved. Women are citizens just as men, and they deserve the right to vote. As a true American citizen, I respect the civil disobedience more than anything, because they weren't rioting, they weren't causing problems. It was exactly what that is, civil disobedience. Just like Susan B. Anthony did, that was a perfect example of civil disobedience. Was she did not cause a problem, but she did vote. She fought for what she believed in civilly. Thank you.